All right, bam, live. Welcome. All right, let's get started. Welcome. Happy was it Friday, Kathy? Yeah, welcome. We're gonna talk about some remodeling. All right. Welcome, folks. Welcome. Let us know where you're from if you're new. Welcome. Hey, Amelia. All right, we're gonna get started here. If you have any questions about remodeling, please just put it in the chat. Otherwise, we're just gonna talk about how to close out the jobs. At the end, you work so hard in remodeling. So you have to often wonder, how do you get it completed at the very end? Hey, welcome. Yeah, let me know where you're from if you're new here. So today is day 81. And we're talking about hello, welcome. All right, guys. Yeah, good to see you here. Jayon, is that you? Did you just jump in? Hey, welcome. Hey, thanks for being on. Today's call was a deep one, a little long, but thanks for being in there. Hopefully you walk away with something good. This one's going to be a little easier today. This is yes. We're just going to talk about a very simple way. So, I don't know what it's like for you how you close out the job with the homeowner, right? Like, you just did the work and somehow you have to ask them to come evaluate it or look at it. Like, we call it a final walkthrough, right? Over the years, what I've learned is that hello, welcome. Please, yeah, if you're new here, just let us know where you're from. And if you have any questions, feel free to pop it in the chat. So, oh yeah, today was it? Now, just Jay, you could be straight. I can take it. Like, was it too much? Like, did we just? I felt like I went too deep into it. I probably should have just glossed over some of that stuff from today. uh, there's a I find for myself there's probably a fine line. Like, I really enjoy what I do. I feel very fortunate to do this, and I get excited by it. And as you can see, I get into it, right? So, um, and I get it. Not everyone cares that deep. Yeah, thank you, Passion. I get it. Like, you don't you could care less about what I talk about and you can still run a successful business, right? I just putting it in my perspective. I can only share what's helped me become better and have some success. That's all. So I appreciate you being there today. And that, yeah, I'm a I feel like my brain is a big sponge. That's the best thing I can do is get myself exposed to new things as well. I, um, it I feel like that's why we're here. I don't. I feel like most people, once they get out of high school, maybe some that go to college, and then by 25, they just shut off the learning side. And I, in my opinion, that's when you just finally got a good foundation. Now you can really start learning different things in life. So anyway, I get excited by it. I think it's fascinating. I think it's just an amazing time that we live in. I cannot believe what we can do and what technology can help us do. And like just the fact that you can start your own business. You didn't even think. I think you were sharing you didn't even want to run a business, and a year ago you're getting ready to have your 1 year anniversary, and you're killing it. I mean, it's phenomenal. Like in my opinion, that you can do that. So it's awesome. I'm real excited for you. Yeah. I mean, how many people walk around in life and they complain about their situation and they blame the economy and they blame the customer and the competition. And then, like for me, it's like you can walk into any environment and start winning if you just do some of the simple things, put the effort forth. And, you and Daniel and some of the other people that we see on the calls are perfect examples of guys that are out there just really having success and showing that this business can be a lot simpler. I'm not saying you don't have struggles, but hey, big country, what what's frustrating you? What are you asking? Like, just don't sugarcoat it. Just put in the comment what you want to ask. I love what I do, and if there's a lot of people that don't, and I feel for them. That's what I'm saying. And it catches if you have to ask yourself if you find yourself uncomfortable being around somebody that's real passionate about what they do, it's easy to want to say, that person's got an issue. It's harder to say, what is it? Why is that making me uncomfortable? Like, am I not passionate about what I'm doing? Maybe I should be doing something different. Yeah, I mean, so look, I got started in the construction in 1999. Okay, I was a young guy, and it is easier today to do well in this field than it ever was. It was much more challenging in the 90s, especially you look at back around 2008 to 12, like it was an awful time to be. I mean, I have friends that committed suicide. Like it was the worst time in many people's careers, their lives. We live in like right now with technology and the fact that so many people put their nose and told people they were idiots and only stupid people get into the trades. And now you have all these homeowners that can't do anything and houses. Like the way a house is built today, it needs so much more maintenance. It's not built like a house from the 1800s that could survive time. I mean, these houses are falling apart in 10, 20 years and they need a ton of maintenance. They're only good if they never get wet. The minute a modern day house gets wet, like it just crumbles and falls apart. Moisture, water intrusion, you know what I'm saying? Whereas I've got a couple eight houses that were built in the 1900s. It could I could cut a hole in the roof and let it rain on that timber, those two bys. I mean, I have true nominal lumber in that house. It could get wet for 2 years and not rot. But a house today, if it rots for 2 months, it starts falling apart. That's what I'm talking about. So, think about this. I can now run my business 10 times more efficiently for less than a tenth of the cost because I can utilize software. I can utilize different AI techniques. I used to have to pay people to do so many other roles and perform so many other tasks. I don't have to do that now. I mean, I used to have to fax. documents back and forth. You had to pay for a phone line. You had to pay for long distance phone calls. I don't have to do any of that now. I can just email anything to anyone. I can air if I'm on a site with a customer and they're an Apple user, I can airdrop them all the document, anything that is required right there, or we have a portal on the web page. You could never do this kind of stuff for. I can collect digital payments right now on site. I don't have to go back to my office. Yeah, so you're looking for this specific tool. I'd have to understand your business more. I mean, there's so many different. I like for collecting payments. I use a thing called AI payments, and I use a thing called Stripe, and also do Venmo. I do app. I accept Apple Pay. Like I make it as easy as possible. I used to have to go around and collect checks. Like I couldn't you just couldn't accept payments like this 20 years ago. Very few people could take credit cards. You had to if I wanted to set up a credit card machine, I had to do all this. I had to get an office with a locked filing cabinet. I had to prove to the credit card company that I could properly secure any documented receipt that I was going to do a credit card transaction with. I mean, these are the hurdles we used to have to jump through. You don't have to do any of that today. And what I'm getting at is, and please forgive me, like if you didn't try to run a business in the 1990, 2010, like somebody starting today doesn't understand what you used to have to do. And what ends up happening is people that start today think this is hard, that's hard. And I'm like, brother, man, you only know what's hard based off of what you've experienced. That's what I'm trying to say. Yeah, you just keep watching the lives. I think you'll see my structure. I think I mean, I've done this is my 81st day in a row of coming on. That's what I get into every day. I'll talk about how I believe from my experience and working with other contractors. These are the steps that we put into place. And this is how you can grow your business. Okay, so you started in 2011. So you've been doing this for a few years. Yeah. What ends up happening is, listen, and just hear me. I can't speak for you. I don't know your experience, but sometimes when we get into this business, we get surrounded by all these problems. And we think this is the only way the world exists, the way we're experiencing it. What I like to share on this channel is that I'm very fortunate. I get to talk to contractors across the country. Jay Allen is one of them. Like today, we had a call. We have people in Maryland, Oklahoma, Texas, um, Las Vegas. There might be some. I mean, you get to experience what contractors are doing across the country, and most of them are winning. Like I get to talk with people that are dialed into their business and they are having success. Now, it's because they've had to learn and see what other people have done to have success. Most guys struggle in this business and it sucks. And you're tired and you're frustrated, you're burnt out, it's hard to make money. Everybody's beating you up all the time. You don't feel like you ever win, but it doesn't have to be that way. And when you can get a like you could ask Jay Allen what it like today when we walked off of that call. It was a deep call where we were getting into some serious stuff but people walk away from it knowing like, man, look at the opportunity that's out there. Like I have to get like it's hard to sleep some nights because there is so much that you could be putting into place right now to make more money tomorrow if that's your goal, or to make your business run easier so that you don't have to work as hard and can make the money that you're currently making. Right? I'm not saying that everybody has to grow their business, but nowadays, you can put some things in place to make the business just run that much easier. I I think you're looking for the specific how. You should jump on a call with me. Um, you can look if you subscribe to my account, follow my channel. You can DM me. I can send you over a link. We could like I'll give you an example. If you'd like, I have people that get on the phone calls with me all the time, and we go over their business. I'll do. It's a free evaluation, right? I'm going to talk to you for a half hour. I'll look at you. Tell me how you're doing business, and I'll give you some insight to how I see it for you. I do it for free, right? A half hour. And a lot of guys walk away from that and then they come back and go, yeah, I didn't understand I could do that. And then they want to start implementing. So then they get into a program so that we can start working on that. And they can either get into a group program where you can be around other guys, you can do one to one, it's all strategy. And we just come up with how you're going to kick ass and start winning in your market, however that looks for you. Yeah. Yeah. So you'd book the call. That's how, and we would get into it. I need to know a lot more information about your business, right? I mean, I don't know. I could give you like here. I can tell you one thing we've done. I had a guy, he couldn't hire a project manager. He had 6 project managers quit within, I don't know, 5 years. So he hired me. I came on board. I went, talked with his people. It took about an hour and a half to figure out why they kept quitting. Like I could see all the broken pieces. And I was like, here's all you have to do. If we just change this, now he's had the same project manager for 3 years. Like we create our own problems. I had another husband and wife. They were working out of their house and they wanted to expand the company because now their kids were working in it and their in-laws were in and the people from their church. We started working within 6 months. We signed them a huge contract with a big box store. Next thing you know, they're doing millions more than they've ever done. Now they're moving and they got a warehouse. They have a brand new office that they had to move into. We've hired a new project managers for them. Like any of this is possible. We just have to sit down and understand what it is you want to do and where you want your business to go. Yeah, I do. It's strategy, big country. I work with you on your strategy, right? And we help you implement. That's all. It's just strategy. It's so that you look at it one or two ways. Some people just want to stop losing and stop struggling. Other people just want to win a little more, or they want to make more profit, or they want to be able to take a vacation. And so how do we set that up for you? Like, I don't know. Do you have a funnel? Are you using N8N software? Like, do you have automations and triggers? Like, these are the hows. But for me to put all that out there makes no sense if I don't quite understand your process. Like, I have guys that literally they just set up an ad, customer clicks on the ad, goes to a web page, brings them through a funnel, books the call. The owner has a phone call to see whether they're going to go out and have an appointment or not. They charge a fee to do that. Like, and then boom, it puts them into another automation. The homeowner gets a text message, homeowner gets the email, gets a welcome package, gets an introduction to the company. So now when the owner steps out to talk to them, they're ready to do business. Whereas most guys, it's a phone call, then it's a site visit, then it's a follow up with an email, then it's let me get the bid over to you. Then the homeowner wants to make changes. So now you're changing again. Like I've got guys that you can move through the process within a couple days, whereas most people it takes them a couple weeks. Right? That's the strategy part. It's just helping you you could never do all these automations before. That now you don't have to do it. Your software sets it up and boom. I mean, you have to take the time to craft the emails or we provide them for you, but you have to put your language in it, put your company logo. So anyway, hopefully that helps. I appreciate you asking the questions. But yeah, are you do you follow the account? It is like that sometimes. Yeah. I don't yeah, I can't tell if you're, well, look, big country, if you're here or you're not here, at the end of the day, like, if you want your business to be different, if you want your life to be different, just reach out to talk to some people and you can get it there. That's all I'm saying. All right. You, the, the how part, we figure that out real quickly. We just have to do a little discovery. Yeah. Yeah, Jay. I think everybody, like, I think most people just get frustrated when they're not getting, it's very frustrating to beat your head up against the wall and be confused because you're doing a lot, working hard, and yet sometimes we're not getting the results. I mean, I can attest to that. I can share 100% what that's like. I mean, over the years I've had I got the contractor's license, built the contracting business. I got into the real estate world and got a real estate license. I got the home inspector's license, right? Always had the remodeling business. And every time you add a little new thing, hey, I want to learn how to do additions. Let's figure out how we're going to sell additions. Hey, I want to learn how our company is going to become a design build company. How do we do that? You know, wow. Okay. Then I wanted to learn, how do we get into the handyman business with a remodeling company? Because everybody told me you couldn't do both. Everybody said you can't be a handyman business and a remodeling business. And that was bogus. They just couldn't figure out how to do it. You totally can do it, but it takes like a process and it takes discipline. And the next thing you know, you can run a handyman division and have a full service remodeling business. So just be open. All right. So I think but yeah, thanks, Jay. And thank you for sharing with Big Country. He might have jumped off. Anyhow, so let's jump back real quick. We went off on a tangent. Da, da, da. So in remodeling, and Jay, where I was talking earlier with you was, that at the end of the job, the homeowner you want to walk the homeowner through, right? You just set a toilet, you set a vanity, you replace the faucets, maybe you installed a new medicine cabinet, whatever. And the homeowner wants to walk through. Most contractors will just say to them, hey, come take a look at the work and make sure you're happy with it. And that puts a lot of pressure on the homeowner because they don't even know what they're looking at. And so they get nervous. Well, what if I don't understand what's right and wrong? And now he leaves and I never talk to him again. I have found over the years that you have to explain to the homeowner how to even evaluate your project. Hey, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, I finished installing your new toilet. I'd like you to come in. I want you to make sure that you can lift the seat up and down. I want you to be able to lift the tank on and off. So in case you ever have to adjust the flapper, I want you to understand, go ahead and flush it once, see how it worked. Okay. And now yours is that special style toilet where if you lift the handle up, that's just for when there's water waste in the toilet. But if you push the handle down, that's when there's solid and water waste in the toilet. See, you got a dual flush. Like, this is how you help a homeowner do a walkthrough. You explain to them how the product that you've installed works, and you're explaining to them how to evaluate. You say, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, the way that you want to make sure a toilet has been installed properly is you want to straddle it with your legs and you want to just rock just a little bit back and forth, just gentle. And you want to make sure that the toilet doesn't wiggle. If the toilet stays solid, then it was installed properly. Exactly. You do a walkthrough. You show them, Mr. and Miss Smith, this is where I installed that new shutoff valve. Your old shutoff valve was corroded. It didn't work. I cut back the pipe. I put a new stub on. I've installed, and the shutoff valve I just put on for you, it's a quarter turn. You know how your old one, you had to turn it around once or twice? Not now. New technology. This is a quarter turn. You only have to turn it that far to go on, that far to go off. Right? Yeah, perfect. And then you explain to them, now, Mr. and Miss Smith, I'm happy to come back out here in a couple years and replace that shutoff valve. If you want it to last a little bit longer, so you're not calling me in a couple years, every spring, every fall, 2, 3 times a year, come in, turn it on, turn it off. Put a little calendar on your refrigerator. Home maintenance weekend. I'm going to run around the house and I'm going to turn all the shutoff valves quarter turn on, quarter turn off. And if you do that 2, 3 times a year for the next couple years, I won't have to come out and replace them in 5 years. Like you just share something like that. That's a walkthrough. That's how you explain to the homeowner to evaluate your project. Make sure it's not dripping underneath where I installed the new shutoff valve. Because if you just tell the homeowner, what do you think? They don't know. So, um, but that's how, at least that's how I educate the homeowner to do a walkthrough. And when you're doing a large scale remodel, it can be overwhelming. I mean, let's say you've built an addition onto the back of their house. And now they have a new master bedroom, master bath. They have a brand new kitchen that's been blown out. It's twice as big as it was before. They got a sunroom, and then you put out a patio and a deck. So you're showing them an immense amount of new things in their house. You really should put together a little guide for them. And to what Big Country, who I think left, what he doesn't understand is 10 years ago, I'd have to type that thing up. Like it would be an arduous task. Now I can just talk, like Jayon, you saw today on that call. I can just talk to the computer. Here's the project that I just wrapped up for the Smiths. It involved these components. I need to make them a quick guide that I show them. This is how you evaluate the process. We don't caulk. Yeah, so you don't caulk it because if it was ever to flood or overflow, the water has to come out, right? Because otherwise, it's going to fall down and rot whatever's behind. Is that correct? Like that's you're not supposed to caulk toilets to the some people just do the front edge, right? Is that what you're saying, Jam? That's my understanding. Yes. And that's because you want the water to escape. See, that is a perfect thing to explain to a homeowner when you're doing the walkthrough. Here's what I did. This is why I did it. Perfect. Yeah. And then you're educating the homeowner. I learned this technique because when I got my home inspector's license, and it really helped me in the remodeling world because a good home inspector doesn't point out everything that's right or wrong. They just walk around. Houses are like people. There's imperfections. I've never inspected a perfect house. I don't even care if you built it today, brand new. There's something that doesn't work properly or didn't turn out 100% right in every single house. I've never found a perfect house. But that's not the point. The point is to say, is it safe? Right? Is it operating the way it was intended to operate? That's what we're doing a walkthrough to finish at the end of the day. And to understand the component that was installed, and to a basic degree, here's how you tilt in that new window. These are the tabs up top. You pull them in, fold it down, push it back. And again, every spring and fall, Mr. and Miss Smith, you want to walk around and open and close the upper sash because we installed a double hang, not a single hung like your builder. So you want to open and close both sashes. That way the balances and the springs stay working. Otherwise, in like 3 years, the whole thing's going to fall apart and won't work. That's how you do a walkthrough with a homeowner. And when you educate them, this is how you get those better reviews. This is how they'll start recommending. They'll be like, my builder's amazing. My remodeler, my plumber was fantastic today. He taught me like 3 things I never knew about plumbing. And, so I think everybody starts to see what I'm talking about. But where I'm sharing this is I can't tell you how many remodelers, when they tell a homeowner, this is what they say: we're going to do our final walkthrough on Friday. So here's a roll of blue tape. I want you to walk around the house and show me all the things that you don't like. Like, that is asinine. Please, if that is your way of doing a walkthrough, throw away the blue tape. Like, that is not you and your crew. the few days before the walkthrough, you do that. You walk through and find all the imperfections for your crew to clean up. You don't put that on the homeowner. Now, you should have the homeowner walking through the job site just so they can, and you ask them, "Do you have any questions about this? We've completed the drywall phase. Do you have any questions about it?" Right? Bop, 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 bop. And then hey, we've done all the painting. Do you have any questions about painting? This way, when you do the final walkthrough, it's very simple. Whereas what happens to most builders or remodelers, they do the final walkthrough and then they're bombarded with like 30 things that the homeowner wants fixed. And now the remodeler's coming back for like the next 2 weeks. It's it's completely backwards. Like, trust me. You do this all before you do the walkthrough. The walkthrough is about education, not to find mistakes. Like, teach the homeowner the difference, what is level versus plumb. A wall should be plumb, floors should be level, corners should be square. Like, those are the things you teach the homeowner. How many people have said to you, that wall's not level? Well, what do you mean it's not level? Walls aren't level, walls are plumb, right? Help homeowner and explain to the homeowner that it's not a hot water heater, it's a water heater. Exactly. The walkthrough is just you're giving them the final blessing. And you're saying, "Mr. and Mrs. Homeowner, I am handing the project back to you now. Your house is completely repaired, or the part you hired me to do is all finished. Here you go. I'm handing it back to you now." That's what correct. You're getting paid, and hopefully then you're also saying, "Did you want me to solve any problems for any of your friends? Weren't you saying that so and so needed something done? Why don't you call them now? We can get over there." At this point, you don't use I used the term referral earlier in the week because everyone understands it. But in practice, I say, "Is there somebody you should recommend us to? Is there somebody that would be super happy if we came over and solved their remodeling issues?" Because then it's not a referral. Now it's a recommendation. And people are much more happy to recommend you as opposed to referring you. Right. So you just start making these little shifts in how you talk to them. Ah, what else is happening? I think that's good for tonight. I think you guys get that. Um, if like people that are part of that rebel program, like jail, like they're the ones I give all this detail to. If you ever need any more detail, like I have it here. That document I was showing you today, it's like now it's over 500 pages. Like, you can get all this. I have these handouts and guides that you hand to the homeowner. Here's how you do the walkthrough. So yes, oh, I see your comment now. Remember the old typewriter? Yeah, I mean, it's funny. Things things were so much harder before. You really had to type. I can talk to the computer now. Like, I know you've been able to do this for a while, but never like it was today. Like, you saw, you're just able to have a conversation with the computer. It's crazy that we can do that. I mean, you can literally be driving down the road and reciting back to you can pull up the app on your phone and you can be telling it, "This is the project that I just completed. I need to have a file, a document that says the job was closed out," right? The other thing is, when you do the finals, always have the homeowner sign that the project is complete. You need a project completion form. So, like, Jay Allen, hopefully you have in your, if they sign your invoice, somewhere on there it should say, um, Jay Allen's Plumbing. I mean, I know your name's the other thing, but you know what I'm saying. That the all services are complete and to my satisfaction. The project is complete. Somewhere you need that language, especially if you live in a state that's a little more litigious. Otherwise, the homeowner can always say, they never finished the job. So your boss was still typing in '08. Yeah. Because you know what happened? He learned how to do it. I guess was he a little bit older than us? I mean, he probably just learned to do it that way. It's hard, man. I'm going to tell you, I was not 100% a technology person like this myself. I didn't get an iPhone when they first came out. I liked my flip phone. I thought people were idiots. They got the iPhone. It's like, who needs that? It's a distraction. I can't get any work done as it is now. My phone rings too much. But oh, the Razor. Yeah, yeah. So I was the Nextel world. I had the Motorola 2000, I think, the i2000. It flipped up. Uh and then I did get the another Motorola phone, had a little screen at the top, but it had a full keyboard on it. And that was like my first smartphone. I love that thing. So it took me a little while. I was late to getting into the iPhone. But when I saw how simple that Apple made technology, like the fact that you can airdrop files is insane. Yeah. Yes, the Crackberry, the black absolutely. That's a if you like to study business, there's a really good movie on the BlackBerry founder. Here's what's crazy. That guy is wicked smart. So smart that he couldn't see that the iPhone was coming to obliterate his company. He was so convinced that the Crackberry, the BlackBerry device was the ultimate thing. He couldn't see the writing on the wall that people wanted something different. And if he just would have pivoted, but he ended up it's a terrible story from that perspective that the poor guy so smart and had such success and then just watched the company fall to like nothing. It's very similar to like the guys at Blockbuster. And I you might have heard that story. I won't get into it too much, but the guys that started Netflix, they went to Blockbuster and they wanted Blockbuster to buy them and roll up Netflix as an offering for Blockbuster. How Blockbuster was going to transition and get out of the physical tape and CD world and move over to online. And Blockbuster laughed at the guys from Netflix. They're like, "You guys are idiots. That's never going to work." Yeah, it's so easy to be blinded by the thing that's right in front of your face. I mean, could you imagine the guys at Blockbuster had the chance to buy the Netflix company and it would just roll up right on and it would have been Blockbuster would have called it whatever they wanted. And instead they said, "You guys are idiots. Get out of here. We're not doing that. We're going to keep charging people for late fees. That's how we make all our money." And then boom, they're out of business. Crazy. So, yeah. Yeah, it's the BlackBerry and the, Netflix are really good stories to watch. I think the similar things happening to Apple right now. I think Apple's kinda lost its way a little bit. I don't know, I hope it survives. I mean, I like some of their products, uh, but I think they're struggling with understanding the new way of doing things as well. Same with even, Google. Like, Google fell behind. And they lost. They didn't pay. They really didn't see Chat GPT coming and how, you know, Chat GPT's taken over. Google's like, these are the biggest companies in the world. They had so much money. How did they miss that? It's like, what were you guys doing? So, hey, Plumber Bob, welcome. You should introduce yourself to Jay Allen. If you are a plumber, I can only see the first username that comes up. Let us know where you're from. Yeah, absolutely, Jayon. I mean, absolutely. And some of that I shared with you guys today. Like I really got blindsided in 2008 to 12. We survived the company. I didn't have to go out of business, but I was decimated. Like it really because I didn't understand what was happening in the finance world at the time. I I was able to pivot, like, I could tell that, all of a sudden, all these property preservation, opportunities showed up, so we got into that business, but I missed the whole point of don't own a bunch of houses when the values are gonna drop 40% and everybody's gonna foreclose, and then no one's gonna hire a remodeler for, like, a year and a half. I never saw that coming. So, very, very challenging times back then. I guess we lost Plumber Bob. He didn't wanna say hi. Who else is on here? What's that? Help me understand. Is it the Saintville? Saint Val? Say hello, let us know where you're from. Yeah. Yeah, yep. Here today. It's funny, John, if you look at somebody's path and trajectory, I think some people, it's a very easy process. I think some people go through life and things just fall into place for them for one reason or another. Not saying that it's not hard work. I'm not saying that it's all luck. And then I think some people, it's more like this for a while. And I think that's how it's been for me. And part of that's probably me being hard headed at times myself. And we all have to learn our lessons. Our I guess we have to go on our own journey, is what I'm trying to say. At least that's been my experience. Uh, Anybody else in here tonight? Yeah, lucky horseshoes. Better. I joke sometimes. Luck plays a big part. Sometimes it's just stupid timing. You just happen to be at the right place at the right time. You just happen to be the neighbor, somebody down the street, you know? My very first official remodeling project as a licensed contractor came from before I got started, I was selling digital cellular two-way radios, Nextels. I was selling those systems to construction companies in my local area. And when I decided to leave to start my own remodeling business, and I helped a new kid out. I gave him a bunch of my accounts. I showed him how, like, this is how I've sell here, and this is what I've done. And I worked with him for like 6 months to help him build up his business because I wanted him to be able to service the accounts that I had built up over the years. And he was so appreciative of that that he would recommend me all the time to people. And he helped me get he let my first official job as a licensed came from a referral from him. Several other jobs came from him. Anyway, so sometimes you don't know where it's going to come from. Alright. So, what would anybody have any questions? Anybody want to share? Yeah, thank you. Yeah. Yeah, it really helped me get started. I mean, for running a I'm not I think everybody's business is a little different. I had a lot of when you have a couple guys, you have a big payroll, you have to have a lot of cash flow. So I totally understand that. And so you as a remodeler, we tend to need larger projects, like 45, 85,000, whatever is in your marketplace. Some guys are selling I didn't sell $700,000 remodeling projects. That wasn't my market, but some guys are doing that. But that's, a lot of remodelers need to sell large jobs to keep the machine running. So it definitely helps to have a couple of those on the books at all times. Our jobs fluctuated. We would have, 5,000, 75,000, 150,000. It very, very, a lot of variables. So anyhow, but let's see. I can Anybody has any questions? Anything anybody wants to talk about? Anybody concerned about anything that's happening in the world? So one other tip you can do when you're asking when you're doing a walkthrough for a homeowner, especially for you guys that do any sheetrock repairs and you install any trim or you paint any surfaces, uh, you do or hang cabinetry, you do a 6 foot rule. Hold on. It's a good question, Jay Allen. Here's what's interesting in my state. Um, Many people that I know have spouses that work for the government. So a lot of them are concerned because they of the shutdown for sure. Yes. In the past, most of the times, here's you know what ends up happening? Yeah, yeah, you got censored. um, yeah, so you already know to expect it. In the past, when we've had shutdowns like this, because this isn't the first time, most of these people will get all that money. They're just going to get a big check and they're going to get it back retroactive. It ends up becoming like this is a holiday for them. They get it's a really nice vacation. And then they're going to get paid for the time that they're off. Now it's stressful in the moment because you never know what is going to happen. But most of the time, what I've seen is they all go back to work and then they get these big checks. It all becomes retroactive. Somehow the government just makes the money up and there it is. Now, somebody could help me understand that maybe that's not the case, but that's what I've seen. Yeah. So I think where it hurts, it hurts the person who's living paycheck to paycheck, who's really maxing out their expenses. You know what I mean? But if only one spouse is working for the government and the other spouse works somewhere else, and they have some money in the bank and they still have some income coming, and they're not over leveraged, it's not a problem. And I mean, this becomes a whole other discussion because, like, most people, the reason they get themselves into predicaments, I want to say right now that the average American can't survive more than 3 weeks, barely has $3,000 like in their savings account. So, yeah, Rosalie, you might be in the wrong page. I think you're a female, but yeah, this might not be for you. This is for remodelers. um, but yeah, most people just over leverage themselves and then they get themselves into trouble because stuff happens. You get into an act like if you're self-employed, I don't know if you cover I don't know how you're doing your own health care, but it's a challenge, right? When you're self-employed. Random things, life is overwhelming. Yeah, you'll have to explain more what you mean by life is overwhelming. I don't know if you're just trying to troll or if that's like a serious comment. I don't random things. I don't know who you are, but you can share a little more if you like. Um, Thank you for the likes. Might have to watch the time, Jayon, as it gets late. I don't know who's jumping on these things. But anyway, the shutdown, it is what it is. I think it's noise and it's all going to go away. That's just my personal opinion. So I get tired of hearing about it I try not to watch a lot of the news, but I tell you this, it's overwhelming. Like any social media feed I have, because I live in Maryland, they all, they can, the phone knows where I'm located right now, and it's just too much. It could be that too. Yeah. You know, but most of it's just fear. Everybody is just always afraid. So I think what gets interesting is I've never been a big person to believe that I should work for like a government agency to get taken care of. So I don't quite always understand how people tend to think that just because they get hired by the agency, it should take care of them for the rest of their life. I don't view the world that way. To me, it's like you provide value and that's why you have your job. And it may work for a few years, it may not. Yeah, we'll see what happens in the next maybe thanks maybe they're going to try to have things wrapped up by Thanksgiving. I don't think the government likes most of the government people. I don't think they like to do any work between Thanksgiving and Christmas anyway. So they're probably going to try to maybe after Halloween, maybe they'll try to wrap it up, come to some resolution. So, but it gets interesting. I mean, my state, Maryland, is going through Maryland's going through a really tough time. We have a very our current governor has lost like 13 members of his cabinet or whatever. It's the most. It's like an historic problem. It's the most ever, and they're all saying that people don't leave these positions when the person in there is doing well. The reason that all these people are leaving is because they're jumping ship because they think that the person in there right now, for lack of a better word, I guess I should just say doesn't they don't think that he knows what he's doing, and so they're all leaving his agency and all these appointed positions, and everything's just starting to crash. So it's not real good for the state right now as a whole, but whatever. Everything has cycles. I think it'll turn around. Yeah. All right. Well, um, if you're new here, please introduce yourself. Let us know if you have any questions. You want to talk about anything remodeling related or any other? Really doesn't matter. Jayon, how did is your problem resolved with that plumbing situation? Are you going to be I think you were telling me you have to wait. Are you going to be able to do the inspection tomorrow or is it Monday? Please remind me. I know you mentioned something about it yesterday. I think you're going to have to wait. Maybe you were telling me next week. I think that's what I recall. But were you able to solve your part? Okay, set up for tomorrow. Awesome. Ho so how do you f are you excited? Are you nervous? Both? Neither? Okay. Well, you're persistent. That's good. Yeah, you fair enough. Yeah, you almost can't leave things to chance. You have to I think I understand exactly what you sort of had to go through in that yeah, that's frustrating. I wonder, is this one where your profit margin's not gonna be where you had hoped? Is that what you're telling me? Mm. Okay, that's good. I was there's another so I follow a couple different people, in trades, and one guy was talking about the plumbing trade. He said that for somebody in your situation, your average ticket should be $2,000. What do you think of that? As long as I pass the Yeah, I think you'll pass. Hopefully. Otherwise, it'll just be something probably erroneous that you probably could have never predicted if the inspector fails you tomorrow. But this is good because you're going to get to make a new connection tomorrow with a new inspector. Be sure to ask them some good questions like how long you been doing, what got you into the inspecting world, how long have you been inspecting? You know, try to take a minute or two and just build a little rapport with the I'm assuming it's going to be a man. I could be mistaken. Maybe it's going to be a woman. But yeah, because this isn't going to be your last. You're going to be having a lot of these down. Okay, so that's somebody running like 2 to 3 service calls in a day, probably to get that. Yeah, that's what he was. And where this was coming up is to give it some context. In my world with the remodeler, I always explain to people, I think you need to be at a minimum or just a network of guys. Fair enough. Um, every market's a little different, but if you have a vehicle and you're driving around with tools and a truck and you're visiting sites, a remodeler's probably got to make like $800 a day to survive long term, right? And if he has a crew and he has a couple guys, he needs to be at a minimum of 1,000 to 2,000. So it was interesting to see some correlation that the plumbing world, at the end of the day, there's some similarities. It's just the way we go about getting the money is a little bit different. But our cost, the hard cost, like putting a tech or a technician or a lead carpenter or whatever, a helper, we all have similar costs there. Purchasing vehicles, we all have, whether you operate out of a pickup truck or a van, we have similar costs there. The insurance, putting that vehicle on the road, the maintenance, you know. Yes. And the support, you're correct. It's awesome that you have a spouse that can help you. It sounds, and she probably does a lot, which like my ex-wife was, that she provides all that niceness, all the support on the back end. Like the homeowners are like, "Oh, your lady in the office, she's the best." And I'm like, "She really is." I wouldn't always tell people that we were married or whatever. That wasn't important, but I would always talk up the staff. I'd be like, "Man, you'll be so fortunate when you call the office. You'll probably want to talk to them more than you'll ever want to talk to me. They're so much friendlier, more personable, organized." Um, so it's good that you have that, already set up. Yeah. It makes it's funny too. People when there's a team, but when a homeowner's looking to hire somebody, they you should leverage all of that. I find that homeowners, uh, they feel a little more sense of security when you're just not the lone ranger doing everything by yourself. Because my first few I don't know. First month or 2 when I was trying to go out and get jobs, it was just me, but the minute I brought on a couple of guys in the field and had somebody in the office, all of a sudden I was like, "Well, I have a team," and it just seemed like jobs just started getting so much easier to get, to manage. So, all right. Well, so, So, Jayon, you probably already know, but you probably be surprised that comment gets blocked. Isn't that crazy? Like the algorithm, the algorithm thinks that that's a dangerous comment, knowing there's someone behind you. Crazy. Um, but no, thank you for sharing that. Yeah, I think it does. I think it gives you a little extra boost of confidence. I don't know. I think it just helps you probably present in a little bit of a more stable fashion in general. When people see that somebody can tolerate and put up with you, and you're okay to work with, and they're like, okay, we'll work with him too. I think a lot of homeowners have had really bad experiences for whatever reason. It's funny. So during COVID, I worked with like 400 realtors. Part of what I was doing this, and also I got an opportunity. There's a local real estate agent who needed some help with some of their realtors, and I was able to work with about 400 realtors for a little while. And realtors' personality styles are completely different than remodeling contractors. Stable, yeah, stable, but always on edge. Sure. So, but it's interesting. I find that most homeowners find that for whatever reason, type of person that likes to get into the trades, they tend to be a little more solo type. Maybe I'm not always saying introverted's the best way to describe them, but they don't like they don't want to be on social media usually. They don't uh they just like to do their work. They just like to get in, do work. They don't like to talk. Uh they just like to do work. And whereas a realtor is like the opposite. They're all about the social, and they don't like to do any work. It's a different kind of work. I'm joking. Next thing you know, TikTok's going to be banning the entire live if I'm disparaging real estate agents. Mm. So, but yeah, contractors for whatever reason can be a difficult personality type. Um, they can be a little rough around the edges in general. So, Ruben, welcome. All right. Well, guys, we're at 1 hour. I think we're gonna wrap up. And let's look at what we have for tomorrow. Jay, listen, Jay, always the invitation's out there. If there's anything you want addressed, talked about, if you're curious about anything, at any point you can send over a message to me, and I can incorporate it into one of these for you. Okay. So that all, just know that offer is always there. All right. Tomorrow. Yeah, so tomorrow we're going to talk a little bit more about that. I use the You're welcome. I like to use the word advocate in the business a lot, and what that, if anyone's ever had a family member who's needed long-term health care, that in the healthcare industry, a lot of these facilities have an advocate that they assign to the family members of the person who needs the care, because usually the person who needs the care is in a condition where they're unable to make a lot of the decisions for themselves. So you have to have someone who's looking out for the patient's best interest. And it's a joint effort between somebody at the facility. A good facility has a good healthcare advocate, and then somebody, hopefully you, if you're the one in the facility, you have a family member, or you're the family member who is also that advocate for the person in need of the care. Okay. The advocate tries to help make things best for the person. So the way I look at the remodeling world is it's not me against the homeowner. It's me and the homeowner. I'm their advocate for how to repair their house. We work the problem's the house. I'm not the problem. The price isn't the only time the price is the problem is because the house has a big issue. It's not my problem. It's the house's issue, right? And I like to align myself with the homeowner and say, how are we going to tackle the problem? Because otherwise, what happens for most people, the dynamic is the homeowner puts the problem in between you and them and says, Jay Allen, that's the price is the problem. You're the problem because look at your price. And it's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. That's the problem over there. I want to work with you to solve that. How can we do that? Anyway, so we'll talk about some of that tomorrow, the advocate and how you help get the client to be like an advocate for your. So the way this process works, when you work with the homeowner in the beginning, you're their advocate for repairing the house. And as you foster that relationship and do the project really well, you transition so that they become an advocate for you and your services to their friends and family. And we get away from the term referral because referrals, it feels like they owe something. A lot of people don't like the word referral, but recommendation. That's always, do you have a recommendation for someone who I could, yeah, I recommend you call them. All of a sudden, now this is a bright idea. This is a good suggestion. A referral often feels like, oh, it must be tied to something. You're making me do this because. So it's the way you can shift it and it just feels better for everybody involved. We all like to be recommended somewhere. Like if I was like, Jay Allen, you got to talk to so and so. They're highly recommended. It always sounds much better than, hey, I got this referral down there for you. You're like, yeah, whatever. So, all right, that'll be tomorrow. Tomorrow gets a little tricky because it's Halloween. And I don't, obviously, I know that not, seems like I find a lot of things that need attention for a simple problem. Yeah, if I understand what you're saying, the subtlest thing is what causes the big irritation. And a lot of people live in a black and white world. They don't see it as a sea of gray, and they don't understand how it's like all connected. They just think it's this one little thing. It's not. That little thing is connected to like all this other stuff. And anyway, so yes, hopefully that makes sense to you. Um, yeah, it does. Like, and I'm telling you, like, I, I have to be careful because I know I repeat things, but it's important to hear like that little message I was sharing. Like, there was a time period where one of the people I was working with, we had like hundreds of projects happening and it was overwhelming, right? Every day you have, I don't know, 10 crews. So you're dealing with 10 to 20 homeowners at any given point. And when you have that many variables and that many people and that many things, there's always issues coming up. But most of the time, once I listen to the person's complaint, because I would handle all conflict. Like most people in any remodeling business, this is like a full-time job I could have at any large company. I could just come in and say, hey, let me handle all your disputes. I'll keep you out of any lawsuits. I'll keep you out of court. I will resolve all your past bills for all your homeowner complaints. I'll get you paid. Like that's a skill set that I didn't have in the beginning, but over time, and it always comes down to like, it was this littlest thing that set the homeowner off. And you're sometimes, um, I had one contractor, he was getting ready to go to a lawsuit from an issue that happened 2.5 years ago. And he asked, and when I started talking to the homeowner, it was because one of the guys drove up on her lawn one day and then poured out like his drink, his spit bottle in her garden. It was like some silly things like that, and she felt so disrespected that this started a complaint with the commission in our area that the quality of work sucked. And do you see, like, what ends up happening? She felt disrespected, and no one was gonna care that somebody poured something in her garden, but if she complains about the quality of the project, everybody listens to that, and now the commission's on the guy saying, "You gotta fix this. This homeowner's saying this isn't any good." And now here they were, they were getting ready to go to court over this silly little issue that could have been resolved if nobody took the time to even understand it. Here I am talking to her about something that happened 3 years ago to get it resolved. So anyway, all right, that is, everything. Haven't also Halloween. I don't know if you celebrate it in your area or not, but the community that we're in, it's a big deal. So, I don't know what time I'm gonna be doing this tomorrow, unfortunately. I have because of this whole Halloween thing. It's gonna be some activity that I don't know. We have some neighbors and we're setting up a bonfire and like, I don't know. I don't know if you have plans tomorrow, but because it's on a Friday, it's turning into like an event. So all that to be said, um, we'll see. This live might be done at a much different time. I'm not sure. I have to see how it goes. And some of that involves, unfortunately, the way my life's set up right now, a lot of it, I'm working with my girlfriend on it. And, I have to be flexible. And so we'll see. So I appreciate your patience knowing that I don't know what time tomorrow's going to happen. Or actually later tonight. All right. Appreciate you guys being here. Jay Allen, thanks again. And good luck tomorrow. Definitely excited to hear how it goes. And we're pulling for you that it's all good. And hopefully you guys get green stickers down there and you get a green sticker saying you passed. Yeah, man. So have a great night. And here's to you passing that inspection tomorrow. Take a picture of that frame. You know what I'm saying? Your first successful inspection, hopefully. All right. Take care.